Welcome to Nintendo Voice, your voice for everything Nintendo. This is episode 101, recorded on the 9th of August 2017. My name's Lewis Pugh, and joining me to talk Nintendo, we have Harrison Milfeld.
It is a wonderful 101 Nintendo Voice podcast, so that's my joke.
He's met his quota for this week. And Colin, what joke have you prepared for us?
Nothing that can top that.
I about killed him there. I don't know. That's been in my back pocket for like the last 10 episodes. I'm like, I'm gonna say it.
It's been saving up for a while. Hello, everybody. Yes, this is episode 101. Hopefully, it's wonderful.
The wait was worth it. I'm glad you didn't spoil the joke you had at hand 10 episodes ago. I don't know if I'd have been in control of myself. Anyway, today we're living in a post episode 100 world, and the show we have for you this week, we have some what we've been playing, and we do have some new games. We have our Nintendo news, and we have the super topic. And the super topic for this week, as voted by our Patreon supporters, is what is our favorite Super Nintendo game? And it may sound like a very simple question, but ultimately the three of us have to decide on a single game which we can just say is the best Super Nintendo game.
So how long is this episode going to be? Because that's a tough old question.
We're not having to rank them in order. No. We're just having to decide which is our best out of them all. And that's the only criteria.
No. We're not going to go into a bit of a battle royale like we did with Nintendo 400, where even I love the discussion going on to that one, whatever. But even I think I was like going to Eugene. I'm like, I think I have to bow out right now because why? It's like this is getting out of control.
Yeah, and then after that, we do have a tease of what's to come next week in which questions or which topics even are up for vote by Patreon backers. And we have two fantastic ones I'm excited to read out later at the end of the show. I would eagerly enjoy doing either of these things, so thanks in advance. But look forward to that as well. So before we jump into what we've been playing, I wanted just to do a quick bit of housekeeping, as I've been reminded to say. So firstly, and I'll keep this as quick as possible, audio is available on iTunes and usual podcasting services, video at youtube.com/Nintendo Voice. You can now support us, this is new, on patreon.com/Nintendo Voice. And the reason I wanted to give this out in the front of the show is that for a limited period, we're giving away, or there's a chance to win a Super Nintendo Classic Mini, which is the Mini that I've secured. It's my pre-order. It works worldwide, worldwide TVs, worldwide power. And so all we need to do as a chance to enter that is support us on Patreon. And a random supporter will be chosen when I receive my Super Nintendo Mini, and simple as that. I will ship it to you with free shipping. if you receive it, but also we did not mention, like, Lewis did go to great lengths to secure this thing. So exactly, I mean it's from Amazon. They're pretty good people. I imagine we should be good. I was one of the few, as it were, who managed to secure a pre-order in there, and so yeah. Please do check out the Patreon. There are other goodies as well. You can join in super topics as we'll go in later in the show. But let's jump straight into some what we've been playing. And although I do have a new game to talk about, Colin, I hear you also have a new game as well, and I'm eager to hear your thoughts on it.
I can tell you, Riga, I was very surprised you came to me first. Yes, so I have a new game, which is a rarity for me. I was able to secure a copy of Ever Oasis, a game that I was fairly intrigued to actually sit down and play, because I kind of wanted it to be not what I thought it was going to be, which is confusing. But let me just clarify what I mean. Everything I saw about the game, all the footage, it looks to me like a Animal Crossing game with combat, essentially. You got to build up a little town and make it thrive and go out and help people around the world. That's not the case of this game. This game is very heavily, you can tell by when you play it, very heavily Zelda influenced.
Okay. So I assume we're talking about the Ocarina of Time, somewhat Majora's Mask in that style.
More Majora's Mask, I'd say.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, purely because there's only one town, and that's your Oasis. And your Oasis is something you have to build up, and basically people provide you with like help and side quests and stuff you have to complete. No, but it's a really good game for what I played. I think the most fascinating aspect is the game is divided into two core parts, which is the town building section and the exploration. The town building section does directly impact the exploration section, i.e., the better your town or Oasis is doing, the more powerful your character is. I.e., you have like bonuses like more health, more access to like certain moves and things like that. It's pretty clever how they entwine the two. But yeah, you actually go through and explore this vast desert and come across caves, and it's the actual caves where the Zelda element comes more into play because they have a map and chests, and there are certain rooms which require puzzle solving, and some are just combat rooms, and so on and so forth. And on top of everything else, it's an RPG. So there's RPG systems. There's a very Monster Hunter-ish crafting system, which is like right up my alley. I like it.
Sorry. So in what way is it Monster Hunter-y, the crafting system?
Because it requires crafting, i.e. it requires parts of monsters that you have to kill.
And then does it look like it's made of the parts of monsters, which Monster Hunter does well? Or?
Some parts do. They generally know. It's just like you just need these things to make this new hat. I mean, the cool thing is when you make something new, it does appear on your character model. It does change the way you look, which is I always appreciate in games when they actually take the time to change the character model. But yeah, and I guess the one thing that really stands out to me is just the production value on this game is like outstanding. Like the detail when you walk across the Oasis, like the desert itself, and like this like wind comes in and just sweeps up all this sand past you. And it's like this is a 3DS game, and this looks really good, really good.
That's good.
And there's a strong.
Have you played it with 3D or no?
No, I've not touched my 3D slider in about 2 years. So yeah,
there's some games coming out. I think you may want to actually play with that a little bit, man. So I mean, one that we'll probably be talking about, but oh no, well, the one thing I heard about was that Metroid Samus Returns. I keep hearing the 3D, and that one's gonna be great. So.
I might have to try it out. Yeah. The 3D's never a thing for me, but I did like it in some games. But I think the only game I really liked 3D in was like Super Mario 3D Land. Like in certain sections, it's like, oh, the 3D looks really good. Anyway, back to Ever Oasis. I do like this game has a real strong theme of like nature. That's like the overriding theme of the game is like nature and how to care and for the environment, essentially. Like, they don't shove it in your face, but it's clearly there. So everything is like you live inside a tree. Your character is actually born from a seed, which is bizarre.
Are most people in that world born from seeds? Or
yeah.
Are you special because you are born from a seed?
Well, it's tough because you are special because you're the chief of your Oasis. But you just get given that title, basically.
I was going to say, is it like an Animal Crossing?
Very much so.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one that was.
But without the massive depth of the house, where it's just like, oh yeah, here's this nice house. I'm like, oh, pay me this amount of bells, and I'll see you later. I'm like, I don't have that money.
Yes.
How much are you paying me for this mega gig anyway?
There's no like. There's no like crazy debt or like currency you got to pay for. Really, they don't really have, there's no real money. I mean, I guess there is. It's like water. Water is like the currency. You only have like a certain amount of water to use.
Does it make sense?
The thing is, you earn water because you build shops throughout your oasis. Like you can't actually use yourself. They sell like random like just like hats or carpets and stuff. But over time, they build up money or water supply, and you take that water supply, you can spend it on like harvesting crops and things. It's really quite clever how it's done it. But yeah, the main actual creatures you meet are like these little cute little bird creatures, like little penguins, like owl. Yeah, kind of fluffy, kind of chubby penguin things. But
So wait, the
yeah,
things that are from the things that were kind of like in what was it, Skyward Sword, that I called that were kind of a cross between penguins and pandas.
No.
I'm getting way off topic on this one.
they're very bird-like, which is bizarre that they chose birds in Oasis. But yeah, they come each day, because it runs on a day structure. Each new day, you'll get so many birds come visit, and they'll buy stuff, and that's how you get your shop fill up money. Randomly, some non-bird people will come, and then you can talk to them, and they say to you, like, I need you to go find me this specific item, and then I'll join your oasis. And of course, every person you recruit to your oasis gets stronger and stretches out further, which makes your character more powerful. Also means you can customize your oasis even more. That you can actually fully change the past layout and things like that, which is pretty cool. I don't really think of any other like city building game where you can dictate the layout of it as such in that kind of detail. But yeah,
I mean, it kind of sounds like it's almost two games in one here. I'm wondering if there's more. Does it feel connected, like the whole building your town and the going out and adventuring? Do they feel like one coherent thing?
They very much do, mainly because of the whole, like, in order to keep your shops running, you need to give them the stuff to sell, or at least the parts of things to sell. And so you need to go into the oasis and find it. And so that you're always going out into the wild and fighting creatures, and then coming back with the spoils and handing them out to people. At times it can feel like busy work, though. And it's like, I need to fight this thing like 3 more times to get the one item I need to keep the shop running, kind of thing. But it's good. I mean, it's really good. I like and you meet these unique characters that have like unique abilities in dungeons to help you. Like some can mine materials, which gives you access to rarer stuff, and some can pull levers that you can't, and that helps with dungeon exploration. And yeah, it's good. Another really good thing I like about it is the game. Most RPGs have a really long intro. Yes. It goes on for ages. They're like, we're going to drag this sucker out. This game gets you kicked off, I would say, in about 25 minutes. There's an opening cutscene which goes on for a little bit, but then it's just a little bit of dialogue. Now you're in charge of your own oasis. Off you go. Build it, and they will come, kind of thing. So, yeah, it's a good game. It's really good for what I've played. I mean, I've only played like maybe 12 hours, 13 hours of it so far, but it's awesome. I was really gladly surprised by it. So, yeah.
Awesome. That is cool to hear. It's a game which I think I heard more about before it launched than after it launched. I think because it did release post-Switch, right? Am I getting my memory right?
It did, I believe so. Yeah.
Was it?
No, yeah, it was definitely post-Switch.
Okay, yeah. So I think that took a little bit of wind out of itself, but it's good to hear that it is a good game. And it does sound like people maybe cling on to their 3DSs a little bit longer than they may have been expecting.
Oh, obviously. I mean, the life of
Metroid.
Well, that and among other things, probably. We know who knows how long this is going to go into 2018. But
man. Yeah.
But on the subject of like with the Ever Oasis, this is a game that I was, pretty much anticipating up till now, and then things comes up and it's like I'd never gotten a chance to pick it up right away and be in a backlog. But from what I can tell from this, though, and it got a decent reception, though, from what I've been reading through several reviews, which is good, and people have recommended it to me as well. But if one thing I want to ask you from this is, yeah, it is 2 games in one almost, but it did Grezzo, people who of course did, the phenomenal Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask 3D remakes on the 3DS. Have they able to stray away to be their own little identity in there, as in like not feel like too close to comfort of like, hey, is this kind of like Ocarina of Time or something like that?
It's a good question. Yeah, they clearly the Zelda influence is still there from the time they've spent porting those games over. That Zelda is very heavily influenced in this game. I mean, art style wise, it definitely strays further away, and it's very. I guess it's cutesy, I guess, is one way I'd say it, but it differs itself enough. I think it's a step in the right direction, away from Zelda.
From how you explain it does sound like it's at least fairly different to a typical Zelda game. Because the town building aspect, and it sounds like the actual like dungeons you go to in this game aren't the same sort of dungeons you would have in a Zelda game.
Generally,
because you've got more of the RPG elements. I feel there's a bit more. Not sure randomization is the right word. Are the places predetermined, or are they like generated as you go?
The dungeons are predetermined. Okay. Most of them are just like single room caves that you go into. They all hold like different items. I've only cleared one huge dungeon, which was pretty big, and it was fun to go through. And that felt very Zelda-y. I was like, this is like straight out of Ocarina of Time kind of thing.
Okay. It's actually, I get completely different. I mean, I've not played the game, so I mean, you're in a much better place to say. But just from like seeing video and pictures, I think almost purely because like the camera is nearer top perspective than like behind the back.
Yeah.
My brain doesn't think, oh, that looks like Ocarina of Time,
Yeah. Well, actually, I'd say like the camera does change a lot in this game. I mean, you got full control of it, but there are some bits where it's like very scenic and very like, look at this. Isn't this amazing what we've done? It's like, yes, it is. Good job. Yeah. The only thing I would say though is like I've met a character. I don't like it when they do this in these kind of games, and it's like he's the villain. I can tell he's a villain just by the way he looks.
But he's not
the game's trying to keep it like, oh, we don't know who this mysterious person is. I'm like, he's the villain. I can tell you right now, he's got giant horns and he's dressed in black.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's just he sounds like a nice guy.
He sounds like a misunderstood guy.
Totally. But yeah, that's every Oasis.
That's awesome. So, Harrison.
Yes.
You've been catching up a bit more with Splatoon 2?
Yeah, I actually have right now. I think I'm fairly near the end of the single player experience right now. I'm in the 5th world of this one, I believe, and I'm assuming this is probably the last where I'm going to, unless the game's going to throw me a wrench and something else is going to happen to it. I doubt that. But so far, so good with it, whatever. But I did want to bring up, though, Lewis, did you, by chance, get a few times to actually play a few rounds during this past weekend Splatfest?
I did participate in the Splatfest. On the winning team in my region.
You put your allegiance to Team Mayo?
Team Mayo won! I don't know what you're complaining about.
I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying it's the most.
I'm shocked.
Well, here's the thing with this. I knew something was going to be up with this when, because I had to work all day Saturday, so I got up early, started playing a few matches in there. I knew something was up when the majority of my matches and people I know, they were getting killed in. And even people I knew, they overwhelmingly voted for Team Ketchup. I mean, the results showed. I think it was like 72. It was like almost like 4-1, essentially, or like 3-1 or 4-1, whatever, in terms of like results. But Team Mayo basically killed. Like it was fairly close in team wins for solo, Oh no, for team wins, and then for solo, it was like off by like a percentage or 2 points, or 1 or 2 percentage points. And let's just say I was quite shocked to see the results the next day, and knowing that you all really just wanted to put something towards Team Ketchup or whatever, even though I felt like Team Ketchup versus Team Mustard would have created a bigger divide, and I thought would have been very nice. So
just hearing Team Mayo and Team Ketchup is just killing my soul. It's killing me right now.
Oh, they actually used the condiments for ink in the matches, and it was quite a little bit like slightly disturbing almost.
I'm going to agree with you there. I'll be honest, I didn't quite like playing with it. Like, because I think with the colours that they've got set in the game are, very carefully chosen because they work well together. Like, like in the posting, nice pink and greens. But the bright red for the ketchup and the white yellowy for the mayo, it was a bit too much all over the screen.
Yeah, it was. It's like, I don't want to go into so many too deep details, but I was quite disturbed by it for a bit. But I'm just going to leave it at that. So, and to echo a, no, what was it? Somebody, as soon as they saw the result of this, to echo a tweet that I'd sent, not I sent out, but a friend sent out. They just posted the Splatfest result. He's like, "Wow, this is only the second time I woke up to an election result where I was completely disappointed in." So, other than that, that's all well. But no, but back to the matter at hand. I was a great little Splatfest, but also there was kind of some people complaining about how what NOA's, like specifically Nintendo of America, and how they kind of decide the winner based on it. I feel like there were some segments that felt rigged. I saw a Kotaku article. Well, I saw a Kotaku article about it, and I gotta go back and reach into further read into it, but I can pull it up a little bit. Hang on. But other than that, though, I've been actually just enjoying the single player of this game more. Like I said, it's longer. There's a little bit more variety to it and a little bit more challenge. And like I said, you can use various weapons to it. Now, I said on the last podcast that you could take weapons that you bought from the store. I may have misled some people on that one. That's you were given different weapons during the single player, but once you get them, you can switch them out for any level. And when you beat each level, it will have a little icon of whether if you picked up a sunken scroll or these different little items within the game, within the level, but also have say, hey, you beat this level with the roller. Here's your check mark for it. Or you beat this with the dualies, which by the way are fun to play with. I just love the dodge roll. And so that gives you more incentive to go back and replay the levels. And maybe sometimes reaching a certain item is a lot better with this one. So, and of course, the boss battles are enjoyable as well. So you have to at least enjoy the level of challenge, but also knowing that you're using the abilities of using your own ink to use only a little bit platforming skills just to defeat the boss. And to me, it just, it does ooze with charm.
So, I'm guessing what you're saying here is the single player is a vast improvement over Splatoon 1.
Mm-hmm. Yes, right. I believe so. It's a way more polished package right now, and that's not to say anything against the first Splatoon, which I adored. To me, also, side note, when I mentioned about people were upset about the system being broken, this was more of a joke. Sorry. Oh wow, and I'm. Oh no! Somebody had photoshopped.
The problem.
Oh no! I'm seeing this image right now. Somebody had photoshopped the squid tentacles on Charlie Kelly during the Pepe Sylvia speech in Philadelphia. Okay, that's good. No, they were just talking about servers and how everything was just not really counted right. But it's okay. So I may have jumped the gun on that one. So Scandal. I know. I'm like I said.
At Nintendo. Who would have thunk it?
God. But no, Team Mayo did win in all three segments, Europe, North America, and Japan.
Yeah.
Wow, clean sweep for Mayo. Jeez.
Ooh. I wonder if Mayo sales went up.
Well, here's the thing, though, with Mayo. I want to add whatever. Americanized Mayo is not really as good as, like, say, from what people tell me, if you go to like Japan or even parts of, like, it's called QP Mayo.
I did hear that.
Yeah, I heard that was like fantastic. So,
although to be fair, I think even in the European Splatfest, I think it was pretty even. I don't think it's like, oh, Mayo like won by a huge margin because, in theory, European Mayo is better than American Mayo or something.
Something of that sort. I don't know.
Yeah, I think while we're on the topic though, got some comments in from the live chat on Splatoon. Green Moblin says, "I was so let down by the Splatfest. I don't like the categories when one is so popular. I put in 50 games in it and only lost 3 times to Mayo, but only won about 8 to 9, and the rest was versus Ketchup."
Yeah, I noticed that too. It's like if I lost a round or two, I was actually placed into a Ketchup v Ketchup match. Is that just like a bit of a punishment to do something, or is that just like?
No, I think I believe that's purely because of the number of users on both teams. So I think in that case, there wasn't any Mayo players available, but there were more Ketchup players still waiting for matches. So it just pairs you together, so you're not waiting for ages.
I say Mayo's ground game was quite strong. That's when it gets good.
Those words never been uttered by anyone ever. Mayo's ground game was quite strong.
Also, we have from Cameron Copley on the chat. I really like the single player in Splatoon 2, and I loved the final boss fight, both the fight and the music. I was reading that carefully because I've not got the.
Okay, don't tell me on there. I mean, I can probably. Guess
I didn't want to read anything. I didn't want to know.
No, I could probably guess who it's gonna be. I mean, whether I saw from pieces of art and whatever bits of dialogue I've seen on there. There is a segment on there where, like, in between, like you said, you started the single player, right, Lewis?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm kind of finishing up World 4.
Okay, I did. Did you? This isn't really much of a spoiler, but in between you go, like, in between when you're finishing each level, you're in a conversation with Marie, basically, and this whole, I want to say, almost kind of like a Metal Gear Solid like codec conversation, almost a little bit, whatever in between, and then it kind of gets interrupted by somebody else. And I remember there was one little moment where I couldn't understand the text, and I was like, what is this, whatever? But it was upside down. And I actually had that moment where I was in handheld mode, and I was like turning upside down, like trying to read it before it disappears. And I'm like, okay. So,
you know what? I remember something odd being said, but it wasn't legible. It was like, I'm sure there's some importance to this. I'll take a screenshot.
Yeah.
But I can't understand what it's saying.
Now Lewis is like,
Now I'm checking my screenshots to see if I turn my Switch upside down, if it makes sense.
Oh boy. Any luck?
Potentially.
Potentially. I mean, no. Like, that's the thing with the.
I don't think it was that one.
Oh no! Here's the thing with, like, the capture button with the Switch, though. There have been many times where I've been like, I don't know whether it's like just to hit a button or like just there was at least a few times where I actually randomly hit that thing like 5 or 6 times, whatever. I just held onto it and it goes click, 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 and I'm like, oh wow, I did not mean to do that.
Oh,
so,
not the name.
But yeah.
I guess before we move on though, another live comment. From Zap Rousdower. I enjoyed the final boss fight from the first one more. Both still very good though.
Okay, you said both on there. I mean, I don't know. That's like there was just something about DJ Octavio's like final boss battle to me where it was the right amount of challenge to me as far as like something I felt was missing on a lot of final boss battles that I've seen from Nintendo for a while. But to me, it felt so much fun. I just like that. I just like the design of that character.
Yeah, and it does such a good job just mixing the music of the stage with the character.
Easily.
And obviously the fight itself, it all goes together so well.
But that's much I have for Splatoon 2 right now. I mean, again, that's me. Aside from the Splatfest, I've just been taking a little bit of break from, off of multiplayer. But obviously, I'll be getting to that a lot more once I complete this. And I still need to hit Salmon Run. I really do. I've only briefly played it with locally, but I need to get into that. So,
yeah, Salmon Run is good. I also need to play more of it. For myself, I won't spend too much time. Firstly, not a new game, I do have a new game to talk about though, is before the podcast, I started playing Breath of the Wild again. And I started doing so after a test yesterday on YouTube Live. And so it's the first of our new series of Nintendo Voice Plays. It's on the same channel. If you're interested in watching me play through Breath of the Wild again, you can check it out. It's not a normal run, though. It's a Ganon run, so I'm not going to do the beasts. I'm not sure how many diversions will be needed or how this is going to work.
It's going to be a very short-lived run.
Exactly. But I won't finish this game, as it were, till he's gone down. So I'll probably have to go back and do some bits and such.
It'll be interesting to see.
Exactly, it's going to be an interesting experiment. And I guess the most important note here is, because I'm sure there's already been well-developed tactics on how you do this. I have not looked into that at all. Not heard about it, not talked about it. And so, yeah, you can watch me figure out how it's done. It should be cool. And that's that, really. YouTube.com/Nintendo. Anyway, I have played some new stuff. So on the Switch, I downloaded a title called Slime Sand.
Really?
I'm not sure I actually even heard of this game before I saw it on the eShop. But it caught my interest. It's a pretty cool title. Okay, on the video, it's kind of running. It is a retro 2D platformer. There's quite a few of those around. This one is in this same sort of vein as a Super Meat Boy. So it's
very hard.
It's hard, kind of quick reflexes. It's got that similar sort of continuous wall jump.
Yes.
But it has its own tricks up its sleeve. And so because the character is a ball of slime, there's some bits around that as well. So there's certain platforms you can kind of just go through if you hold a button. I can't remember what the terminology is called. And there's also bits where you can kind of dash, and you can kind of, I'm not sure you can stick to stuff or not. I think it's mainly you can go through certain types of walls if you're holding down a button. But that combines with the wall jump. And there is a slow motion thing thinking of it. But yeah, it's got its own few little tricks. And the levels kind of like Super Meat Boy? Yeah. So like Super Meat Boy, they are very short levels. They're challenging, but if you do die, you kind of instantly respawn within a second. And so it's very quick. Just keep retrying the same thing.
You're back into it.
Exactly, yeah. So there's not even like a transition screen in between. You just appear, ready to go again.
But yeah, for that kind of game, especially if it's hard, that's what you want.
Exactly, yeah.
Get back into it. Let me try again. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a cool art style to it. I mean, as I said at the beginning, there are a lot of these retro platformers out there. And so if you're going to do one, you kind of really have to nail that style down and really own it. And Slime Sand does a fantastic job there. And it feels like it's quite a big game because I've put about an hour or so into it so far. Enjoyed it. But there's also like a kind of a village hub type area where you can buy items, and it seems to be quite a lot going on for a budget title like this. And so even though I've only played the first hour, if anything I've said interests you, I'd recommend obviously checking it out. I think it's worth just jumping into. It's quite cool. I like Slime Sand, but I shall report more when I play more. It's a cool game though. I do like finding games like this.
You have a knack for finding good little quirky games. Yeah.
They're not always good.
You got a pretty good success rate so far.
I've got a good hit rate, but yeah, there's some games I'll just download.
You'd be like, no.
No, indeed.
Doesn't get talked about. But that's mostly it for me. A small point I mentioned, I guess, because I put it on the notes and Carla made a point of it. I'll probably brush past it now. I actually got finally got a micro SD card for my Switch.
How much?
It is.
Can't store memory.
I'll go with the memory. 200 gig. So it was a biggie. Not the biggest. It wasn't a 256 because the amount of money to go from that didn't seem worth it.
It goes up exponentially, yes.
And knowing the amount of indie titles they're going to be getting for this thing, and also Nintendo has been pretty good with like compressing their hardware, so you got that. It's no matter what third parties tend to do when they release their material on here.
Definitely, yeah. So I've been like digital only, with the exception of Zelda, which I got with the system. And so I had already started archiving my software. And so I was feeling like, well, I wasn't like a huge need for it, because I mean, the Switch kind of handles that really well in terms of you can archive things and re-download them. But I felt, that's kind of a good indicator. There's more big games on the horizon. Now it's probably a good time to invest in it. And then you don't have to archive anything. You can just have everything available. And that's what I'm doing now. And just kind of little things as well, like, which is worth mentioning. For a very brief period of time, there was a demo available for Rayman Legends Definitive Edition, which I did download. And I guess if you downloaded it, you can re-download it, because I archived it and was able to download it again, despite it being not available in the store anymore.
Okay.
The demo that I played, which was pulled, plays fine. Plays like the Wii U game. I'm not sure why they pulled it. Probably the same demo is going to come back down later. Or it might surprise us. It might be that like this demo was prepared early on, and they have actually done a few little bells and whistles, and it runs a little bit better now or something, or a bit shinier somehow. And that will come down later. But from what I played, it's an absolutely fine version of that game. A game I really like, but it is that game, really. There's not a huge amount to say there. With the exception of, and I did have a suspicion this would be the case, it looks fantastic on the Switch's screen. That art style. Really pops. That hand-drawn art at a 1:1 pixel rate. Oh, it looks good. That's how you get those guys. There's 1:1 pixels. I think that's what we've been playing. So let's.
It's been what we've been. Yeah, it's about much what we've been doing.
So let's jump to the Nintendo news. And first on the agenda, we have Metroid 2 Samus Returns. That's not the title. Features an alternative hard mode. Update on this one.
There is.
And so the I can't remember which amiibo it was. Is it the amiibo of Samus or the amiibo of?
I think it's the Metroid one.
It's the Metroid one, yeah.
Okay.
The very squishy one. The one that's very squishy.
Squishy Metroid amiibo. Nintendo announced that it was going to unlock hard modes, and I can't remember what their wording was, but you would also play as a fusion suit skin. And more recently, more details have come out around this. And so it does unlock a hard mode. It also unlocks the fusion skin, which is a separate thing. And in addition to that, like, those things aren't exclusive to the amiibo. If you complete the game, you unlock those things. Like, I'm not sure if there's certain criteria, but you can unlock them in game.
Right.
But if you use the amiibo, you can activate them straight away. So if you wanted to on your first playthrough, put the amiibo down, play in the fusion suit, or play on hard mode.
I think people were really concerned that hard mode was going to be locked behind an amiibo. And I mean, there's the fusion hard mode, and there's the hard mode you unlock by beating the game the first time through. So yeah, it's not.
There was quite a once this news kind of trickled out about what their functionality was. It was about a week or two ago. Once more details came out, I think it was like Nintendo UK had confirmed about the fusion mode, the hard mode, the only of what we thought it was locked behind an amiibo, and of course I just remember just reading on Twitter and the internet and just fiery bit of fury just going towards how much they hate this whole thing about DLC being locked against, this amiibo. Now, I was one of those people, like, before the official word came out, my initial thought was like, maybe this amiibo is going to be used as, say, a workaround. You can, even if you didn't have the amiibo, you would still be able to unlock it. Like, say, you beat the game with like 75% items, you get this hard mode. That's not the case though. But obviously, what was confirmed today, along with a slew of other new Metroid Samus Returns info that we got today through previews and other other bits of previews, is that it's not the case. It's actually another hard mode. So you have hard mode, which is unlocked after beating the game, even if you don't have the amiibo. So you can get that without an amiibo. Whereas if you beat the game, the only way to unlock fusion, like the fusion mode, is with that Metroid amiibo. My main point, though, to this is where we kind of get into that territory where amiibo usage kind of goes into that whole on-disc DLC or locked content kind of thing. Where
very much so, yes.
But also, but I'm not of one of the people who is like shouting and screaming to the top of my lungs of this is one of the worst things possibly that could become to amiibo usage. To me, I think the worst thing that could come out of it is like they just do nothing. That's really it. That's the worst thing you could probably get to it. I mean, it leaves some usage out of it. And this one, I'm happy it does for it, whatever. Now, I did read, though, from a couple of the previews that several, like, obviously the Smash Brothers Metroid series of amiibos can be used, the Samus and Zero Suit Samus, and I believe, what is it? Trying to read what the, because I believe the Metroid, the newest Samus one that's coming out will unlock an art gallery, which I find a little bit odd because I feel like those should be kind of common within a game, beating whatever. But I mean, it's not a deal breaker for me. I mean, to me, as far as like that, whatever, I just find a very odd choice. Now, the Smash Brother ones, here are they. Yes, the Samus one will unlock a missile tank after completing the game, and it was also concept art. Zero Suit Samus will unlock another energy tank and after completing the game and let you listen to Samus Return soundtrack of background music in a special mode. So, yeah, there are things to me that I'm like, I feel like you should have the option to unlock this other ways without finding an amiibo, because the thing is, there are certain amiibos that are very going to be scarce.
I just kind of feel like it feels like they're testing the waters of what's acceptable to be locked behind amiibo. They're kind of pushing it out there, like, will people like this or will people like that? You know, and yeah, it's a little weird, bizarre.
I feel like, though,
choices.
that Breath of the Wild got it down right. I honestly do. It's essentially giving you several few items on there that you can get into the game. Obviously, with the catch, knowing that you can only do this like once per day.
Yes.
But I feel like that's kind of the basis that you should do for like amiibo usage is. For any game out there, whatever, it's like, hey, this $15 amiibo, $15 amiibo will get you this, item that you don't have to farm for as much, whatever, will give you all these goodies, or you can go out and get it yourself. Or, like I said, it's this amiibo this thing can be unlocked with this amiibo, or you can go find it elsewhere. It gives you a reason to basically like, hey, I can do this as far as convenience to unlock this. And plus, I get a cool little collectible to put on the shelf. That's I feel like the trade-off to it. But also, I'm also one to believe that there should be some obviously stuff that should be exclusive to it, like cosmetic stuff. Like that itself would be very like. I mean, if you're really upset to the fact like, so like a fusion suit, whatever, is just locked behind amiibo, I can't imagine what Twitter would be like if what happened was how you had to unlock. Fusion mode and the original Metroid on Metroid Prime with the Game Boy, a copy of Fusion, and Metroid Prime, and a link cable. So there you go. I mean, I know this is completely different. I know it's completely different. I'm not advocating saying like this is a fine amiibo usage. I'm just saying it could use some workaround with it. I'm just not one of those who's just super mad about it.
Yeah.
So. But side note, though, the many previews I've read about Samus Returns so far that have come out today have been overwhelmingly positive. So
awesome! Yeah, I can't wait. Cannot wait.
I know, it's just amazing to me that we're getting for the first time in 13 years, we're getting a side-scrolling Metroid game. I am super pumped right now.
And trust me, Harrison's been counting the years. So
years. I mean, it's just I don't know. It's for me. I'm glad that this happened, and also who knows? I mean, if Metroid Prime 4 takes a while to actually come out, I wouldn't mind another one. Okay, if this one's good, I wouldn't mind them making something else in this same world, whatever. Maybe, who knows, a Metroid 5, something that happens after Fusion, you know?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So that's part of the story I kind of want to figure out what happens to Samus. So,
I imagine that's the thing. I mean, if this game is critically and financially successful for them, you would imagine
being the key, yeah.
They would be asking Mercury Stream to make another one of these, opposed to just
definitely. Definitely.
You know, that would just make sense, right?
Yeah.
No,
it's not even like their development time at work. There, if it gets rave reviews and it does sell well, surely be like, all right, could you do another one of those for us, please?
Please, we're trying.
It's a win-win, surely.
Oh no, yeah. It's like you have to appease the Metroid fan, like the fickle Metroid fan base out there. That if you go at least 2 or 3 years without a Metroid game, they like to decree that it's dead. But really, no, it's just we have time for these things. But no, I know people like to say with Mercury Steam, or is it Stream?
I think it might be Stream. I think I messed up by saying Steam.
Yeah, I think I did too.
It's Mercury something.
Yeah, my what is it? Mercury Steam. Sorry, that was mine. Yeah, but no. I know there was once they were announced as a developer for this game, and there was folks that were about a little bit upset because of their track record, knowing what they did with like Castlevania Lords of Shadow, which to me some people thought was just okay. And so far though, I think when you have like Nintendo's like hand in this, and I wouldn't say like hand holding for them, whatever, to kind of in development, but at least if you have a guiding eye for them. I mean, it seems like they know what they're doing. So we do have that, and I'm confident that we're probably going to get at least a pretty solid product and a great reimagining out of this game.
Yeah, and I can't see Nintendo rushing a project out the door either.
No.
Where other companies I could, you're going to get hit, financial points where you go, okay, let's just get this game out. Whereas it doesn't really matter too much on Nintendo. They're in quite a good position in that sense. They would rather sit on it to be a better product, I feel, than just get out there and potentially ruin their giant brands.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Anyway, we got lots more news to go through, so let's go down the list. And next up, we've got the Nintendo World Championships are returning yet again.
Who would have thunk it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Of course, yet again, the World Championships are. It seems to be American only.
American only.
New York, and when will this be happening? October 7th, but we got preliminaries that are happening in several cities in the United States.
Yeah, so it does start August 19th. Select Best Buy stores. And it ends, or I say ends, the final will be on
October 7th.
October 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So Harrison, are you going to answer?
Unless I can make a drive up to Chicago in August 26th to 27th, yeah, maybe. But here's the thing, though. The preliminary game to actually get in is they're going to use 2 different age groups. I believe one that's like ages below 13 and one 13 and up. Unless I'm getting my ages wrong.
13 is a weird... I feel that's a weird number to choose to divide at.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping like 16
12
up
and younger,
and 16 under.
It's 12.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, 12 and younger. But no, but they'll have obviously different, was the first age group, age 12 and younger, will play as, and this is usually with Mario Kart 7 on the 3DS, which was, I don't know why. I figured if you would use something else or something like that, I mean, I don't know, maybe Splatoon 2. Well, I think they wanted to try something else that has people have their hands on, they have a device that people have played a lot of. Mario Kart 7 being the case, especially on the 3DS. But the first age group you have to play as Mario on the Nintendo DS Luigi's Mansion course on Mario Kart 7 using a standard cart, standard wheels, and a super glider. The second age group, 13 and older, will play as Bowser on the Game Boy Advance Bowser Castle 1 course using a standard cart, standard wheels, and super glider. So, and the player with the best time trial entry in each group at the end of the day will qualify for the Nintendo World Championship. So they'll have you'll be having at least 2 different winners from 2 different age groups in each of these areas. So, and
it's very interesting the way they're doing it.
Yeah, and for anybody who's curious that where these are, I'll just name off the Best Buys, but not the addresses, whatever. But Bronx, New York dates will be taken on August 19th through the 20th. San Jose, California, August 19th to 20th. Torrance, California, August 26th to 27th. Evanston, Illinois, August 26th through the 27th. Dallas, Texas, September 2nd to the 3rd. Richfield, Minnesota, September 2nd to the 3rd. Butchering this name of this Florida town. Hialeah, Florida, at September 9th through 10th. And Tukwila, Washington, near Seattle, will be at September 9th to the 10th. So all of these will be essentially around the major city areas that I'm just naming off, and you'll have 2 different days to actually participate. But there will also be demos for Super Mario Odyssey and Metroid Samus Returns. So I believe that's, even if you're not going to compete, that's enough incentive to go and try it out.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a bit weird how they announced this? Because was it a few years back, we got the whole video of Reggie in the boardroom being like, I'm going to bring back Nintendo World Championships. And it was a big deal. And this time, like, yeah, we're doing it again.
Well,
and this is how we're doing it.
I think, well, they did announce it through their Nintendo Versus Twitter account, which is their new little handle that they use for like competitive gaming. And I know that kind of just skidded by me a little bit, whatever, when I heard it this morning. I was like, they're doing this again? And to me, I thought they were going to be able to do it again, after the success we saw in the 2015 version. I just keep doing it over and over again, but obviously that was never going to be the case again. And it almost felt like it was just a one-off. But I'm glad that they're bringing something back to whatever. I really like the surprise bits of what they can maybe do with each one. Like from when we did with that one, I just like the surprise of like each of the games that they were going to show off. For instance, obviously I got to see my first bit of play of Splatoon 2 there, and they even used like Metroid Prime Blast Ball, all thing, but it was just called Blast Ball. I never was debating like what it was. And this was before the internet decided to get on the whole, let's just hit on Federation Force for all I care because reasons. I don't know why. And I don't know. I just like that, whatever. And who knows? Maybe they'll do something neat in the point where they unveil a new game at the whole point. Something it could be. But I'm glad that
I was gonna say it's like competitive.
It's gonna be Smash.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Smash Deluxe or whatever they called it. Yeah.
But no, I'm excited for this. Good idea for them to actually bring something back again. I'm not saying necessarily growing a brand, but getting more. I don't know, just filling up the holiday season with things to do is to me what I'm really glad that they're doing.
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, I'm not entirely sure myself. We see game announcements just because I feel they probably would have made a bigger fuss with the announcement of it if they were to do so.
Maybe, yeah.
I also wouldn't be completely surprised either. It also feels like the sort of thing new Nintendo would do now. So
new Nintendo, they're gonna do a logo.
All bets are off. the amiibo stripes. That logo must exist on the internet already. If not,
what logo?
Oh, just the new from the 3DS or new Super Mario Bros.
The new
Nintendo.
I'm telling you, we're getting a new Nintendo Switch soon. Well, not soon, but two years down the line.
Yeah, but probably. I will be surprised.
Well, we haven't need to change names. We've got potential there. Anyway, next on the news, a new game announcement, or at least a new port, has been announced. This time from Capcom, and Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2 are coming to the Nintendo Switch later on this year. This is later than the re-releases on modern consoles. However, we are getting a physical bundle of the 2 games. And the games will also be available digitally separately.
Do you think it's just weird that we're getting Revelation 1 and 2 games which have already previously been like ported to other consoles? I honestly thought it would be the Resident Evil 7 announcement that they're like, we're working on it. You know.
Oh, for Switch.
I would
Yeah.
have. I would have. I don't know. I would have suspected. Well, I don't know. Maybe the HD versions of like, here's Resident Evil 4, here's 5, and here's 6 or something like that. But to me, I like Resident Evil Revelations on the 3DS. I liked it on that hardware.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
2, I did not like so much, even when I got around to it. But this, to me, yeah, Capcom, they're throwing a bone to 3DS. It feels like it's, I don't know, what's the way to it? Boring. That's a really bit of a boring kind of like push on there. Like I mean, thanks. That's really to it. But and this news came a little bit after when Capcom announced that surprisingly, Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter, Ultra Street Fighter 2, whatever moniker. The new challengers. Thank you. I know I was just too lazy. I'm too hyper fighting. Thank you. I'm just too lazy to look it up. And they said that surprisingly so well in its first month in May. Like around just a little bit under 500,000 copies.
It's pretty good, which means I imagine we'll see a lot more ports coming. I heard questions why Revelations 1 and 2. Assuming that's directed towards the Switch. I guess that's just what they're up to now. In terms of the other consoles, they've pretty much ported every single game in the Resident Evil lineup. They happen to be doing Revelations next. And the reason why it's noteworthy on this show is because it's also coming to the Switch. And so I do think they'll start going backwards and start re-releasing those ports.
Yeah, probably.
So we'll have 4 for Switch, 5 for Switch, 6 for Switch, and then maybe even 7. By that point, it'll be ready to come.
Yeah.
7.2, whatever it's called. Yeah.
Something like that. And, and we've had the discussion, obviously, when we had a discussion about like third parties and the relationship to the Switch and what it means kind of going forward. Capcom to me is a really interesting example here because I really don't know what the hell they're doing when it comes to this, or whatever. I mean, even to me, I feel like they kind of want to slowly go into that whole same realm of what, with Konami, where you just eat yourself within the inside and just basically you're a pachinko machine at some point. But I mean, I don't fault them for that. They're making more money doing that, but it's just in terms of like the principle of business of video games, I feel like you would still make a killing if you would release this. It's just, but I don't know. This is the same company that has lost faith in actually doing more of Mega Man. So, and looking forward though for this, it just, I can understand. Thankfully, what Ultra Street Fighter 2, the new challengers have done. Sales-wise, it at least changes people's minds. Like, hey, if it sells on there, it finds a market, they'll develop more for it. But I don't know. I really do sense whatever. I know like a 12, 13-year-old game like Resident Evil 4, but the remastered version, whatever is on there, I really do feel like it would do well on this console. I mean, you have people on there, Nintendo fans, who would be willing to rebuy that.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's also just Resident Evil 4. I mean, it's a game which has been ported onto, I think, almost anything. I think it was ported on like the original. Well, I say original. I think it was like the iPhone 3G or some ridiculously early iPhone, which the App Store was just a very young thing at that time. Bang, Resident Evil 4.
I want to find out what has more ports on different devices, either Resident Evil 4 or Skyrim. I think it might be close.
It's going to be Resident Evil. Resident Evil, definitely. Take you up on that.
Do you think?
Yeah.
It's close. Either way, it's close. I think it's close.
Skyrim doesn't have that many ports. Not compared to Resident Evil 4.
Resident
Evil's got multiple PC ports.
But do you count the special edition of Skyrim? Or do you consider that separate?
Yeah. I mean, it's essentially the same game, which is more.
Has to be released though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
But even then, I reckon it still beats it. Resi 4 has been on a lot of stuff. Let's name them. I better get the 10.
Wait! The amount of ports that we got for this?
Yeah, as long as I hit 10, I'll be fine. So we got the original GameCube version. There's a PS2 version. There was a version. Let's go PC. I believe that would have been next.
Yeah.
A 360 PS3 got versions. Xbox One, PS4 got versions.
You got
There
the
was
Wii.
The Wii, which is really good.
the Wii version. Yes, thank you. There was also a new PC port, which was like the Xbox One and PS4 versions.
Does that count though? It's
It
already,
does.
it's already on PC before.
But blame me. This is my point.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, there's got to be one more. Go on.
Engage.
No.
No, oh, there we go. I talked about it. There was an iPhone iPad version. There we go.
Yeah, you're right.
There's 10 versions. I bet you can't even get the 5 and Skyrim.
PS3, 360, PC.
And Xbox One, PS4. I guess that's fine.
PS4. I mean,
But then,
was it the PC version of like the special edition re-release or something?
Not sure.
I don't think so. Maybe. But either way, it's not going to come close. So
there we go. Anyway,
points proven.
Thank you very much.
Okay, there we go.
A stubborn one, as the polite kid would say. Got a new Zelda update on the way. Why is this surprising me? Includes a new way to include in-game items.
Yeah, interesting.
Who can talk me through this one?
We can both talk you through it. Well,
I'll go quickly from memory.
Yeah, you've had more time with the first bit of DLC, but this one thing about implementing items I'd like to discuss on there. But go on.
Okay, let's have a look, because I read the story and I was like, yes, that'll be a good story. We should discuss this, and I forgot why I added it. Yeah, so this is it. Okay, so according to this new update, in-game items can now be obtained from launching the software from certain articles distributed through a new news channel. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Tips from the Wild. I'm guessing this is like a Switch exclusive thing, because I don't think you could do this like through the Wii U version.
What, the items?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that's just through the through the in-game news portion of the, because okay, I keep reading. Yeah, you don't want to Switch right now, but like one of the apps, like the button apps on there, is a news segment. Just it looks really nice. Whatever. I mean, it's rolled out in a little bit of magazine style. Goes through each one, whatever, like quickly and seamlessly. And like the latest update, you can get like a yeah or a nay or whatever to like this piece of news, like for feedback, and then you can subscribe to certain channels, like for like Super Mario Odyssey portion, ARMS, and you basically can curate your own bit of news onto the whole thing on there. And there's other things on there too, like videos can be popped up in there, and even the in-game assistant has like little things on there that tells you like, oh, new things are coming to the system, like to the Switch. But this one, I believe, though, when you were mentioning about the update to the okay, so what it's saying is like in-game items now can be obtained from launching software for certain articles distributed through the news channel. So, and this is expected to open on the 9th of August. So yeah, tomorrow. And depending on your progress and location, certain items may not be obtainable. So the game knows what you can and cannot have at certain points.
Yeah.
I'm curious what this does. I mean, where this will be going further, and why. Like, I don't know. I'm just trying to think as far as like an article, for instance, whatever is. I don't know. Like, what would you think, Lewis? Like, what kind of item would like a different article give you exactly? I'm having trouble visualizing this in my head.
Yeah, I think it's going to be basically promotional stuff, and so they'll probably try and loosely tie it in with an event which is happening. So I guess I can't think of any good examples, but it would just be an excuse to be talking about Zelda, and it would be like, don't forget, in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, while you're fighting enemies, you can also be gathering ingredients to make hearty meals, like this meal here, which is blah blah blah. And here's one of the rare ingredients which would be needed.
Yeah, definitely.
That makes sense. Okay, that really does.
Get the item, and it's get you to jump back into the game. It shall be interesting to see what they actually do, how they do those hooks.
How's it like translate it to you? You know, how's it?
And also just how like Nintendo is like writing an article. Is it going to be very transparent, like, oh, this is just a marketing piece for Zelda, or are they going to like, is it going to be like a character from the universe writing the articles we're reading, and like, oh, I've sent you this gift. I hope it finds you.
Yeah, kind of cool. I'll be into that. If it's like, you know, if it's more like kind of story based, like, you know, the portraying characters and so on. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I wonder if they'll go for this approach with like other games. I'm not sure how. Like, maybe arms, you can like get new types of arms just given to you as, you know, this kind of service. It's interesting. So.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, I imagine if they're doing it for this, they've got other plans in mind.
Oh, absolutely.
It doesn't sound like the sort of thing you would build into the system, just as big as Zelda is. Like maybe if it was for launch, but not necessarily at this point. Maybe. Yeah. I say building this for Animal Crossing. Anyway, that's you send items through news, or Nintendo will send you items. Makes perfect sense there. Cool for Zelda still there. Next piece of news we have Dragon Quest XI. Echoes of an Elusive Age is officially announced to the West.
Yeah.
I assumed it was already. It's now announced. That is good news.
No, I thought that was already announced. Like,
well, that's the thing.
The NX days of when we were like, oh wow, this is the first.
Yeah, because I looked into the history of this. I was like, I swear it was announced, and it was heavily hinted at. We'd like to put this into the West, and that was kind of the wording. Yeah, the NX version they mentioned are still like the Japanese version, so we actually don't know what versions we're getting in the West. That's why the unannounced platforms. I think we'll get the Switch and the PS4 and the 3DS version all together. I don't see why they'd leave one out.
I guess if they were going to leave one out, it would probably be oddly the 3DS version.
Do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you were going to leave one out, if you had to make that cool, I wouldn't drop the Switch one and just go just 3DS and PS4 by that point.
I kind of feel like they might, though.
Okay.
Because of the strength of the sales of the PS4 and the 3DS, the Switch is a distant third still. You know, it's selling like quite crazy. It has a lot of momentum behind it. It is still way behind those two numbers. So I think for them, it makes more sense to be like, let's just make the best of what we've got. But I do believe we'll get all three versions.
Yeah. I think the only thing which just does the wording of unannounced, it just makes you feel.
Yeah.
If you're going to race it to the same ones, just say them, or don't say
exactly.
Them. Just say, "Oh, we're coming out to the West," and everyone will just assume all the versions are coming. And yes, you're right. It's like maybe then they're thinking, there's competition between the 3DS and the Switch in terms of it has in the West a more like similar user base. Own the 3DS and now own a Switch. Whereas in Japan, they're both such big monstrosities, it doesn't really matter. They will just buy all the versions.
Yeah, I mean, have you guys watched the video of this announcement with Yuji Horii, the creator of Dragon Quest? It's a very bizarre video. It's just him explaining like Dragon Quest is really popular in Japan, basically, and we'd like to bring it to the West. And it's like it's going to take ages to translate it. And he starts like messing around with some of the slimes. And then he leaves the room. Just leaves the room. It's like, okay, that's the ending, I guess. Very, very bizarre.
Yeah, I did hear some speculation from people who have played 11, because it isn't voice acted, that maybe they would be doing that for the Western release. Because I think it was in 8.
8 had voice acting.
Had a lot of voice acting. But that was only introduced for the Western release, and then it was reintroduced in the Japanese release as an updated version, a deluxe.
That's
version.
Right. Yep.
So maybe the same here, which I guess would help if he's saying it's going to be this like a big task of bringing Dragon Quest over to the West. Maybe that's part of the point.
I mean, I feel like this is the first time he's been on camera announcing that they're doing a Western release. Usually it's just a press release saying, yeah, the Western version will be out day and date. Yeah. So I think there's going to be a bit of a production behind this. We'll see. Hopefully.
If you say it does it, either version or any of the versions, they all look really, really good.
Yeah.
Well, and I think this is again, if this does get released on the Switch, I mean, I do want to kind of agree more back on as far as like bringing third parties. I feel like on the Japanese side, we may find a little bit more, specifically like Square Enix. I think that's kind of the key of getting over here. I feel like they're a little bit more less reluctant to bring stuff over here to this platform. So, but that's for me. Whatever. I mean, I do feel like that they could probably be going on there, and of course the things I said about Capcom earlier on there. That's just me saying like I really don't know what's going on with them at this point. And my only thought is like if things sell, they'll bring it over, but we shall see.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but could it be one of those situations where that's a discussion for another day? It's more about power in games, and whether their third parties will ask like, "Hey, we'll bring your stuff over if you make this thing, the next version, more powerful." And
yeah,
but that's a matter of like, hey, would Nintendo be willing to sacrifice its strong sales right now for more power and a more expensive device? If that meant that's a bit of the dilemma that you have. So, but for this one, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Dragon Quest games, but for anybody who wants them and has them on the platform, I'm happy for them because there's an audience for them. So that's to me what I have to see. That's my 2 cents.
Awesome. So that concludes the Nintendo news. However, we still have our super topic, and so this is all fairly new for us and for you. So let's do a bit of intro. What a super topic is, and so super topics.
It's new stuff. Yeah,
it's new.
So
I thought we were just rebranding super topic to new super topic. Then, like, oh, it's that time of its life now. We have to add the word new in front of it.
This is new Nintendo voice.
Yes.
Jesus.
So, for your new super topic, how it works is on 1 week we'll let you know what is up for vote and what we'll be discussing next week, and then it's something which just Patreon supporters can vote on. It's on the page, but what they can also do is suggest new super topics which we can vote on for a future episode. And so to kick things off, because we didn't even have a patron at this point, so I put the choices together. And the choices were, they all follow the same format, best game of system. And you had the NES, Super NES, Nintendo 64, the GameCube, the Wii, and the Wii to choose from. And then we all have to fight over and pick one game which is the best, which represents that system. And the votes are in. They have been tallied up. Let's go from last to first. Although I think we've already ruined this, a big surprise. But in order, so drawing in last place, we have the Wii and the Wii U with a single vote each.
The Wii U mirroring its own success in the real world, I say.
Yeah. Well,
I say that because I love the Wii U.
Yeah. Next, we have with 2 points each, both the original NES and the N64. Then in second place, we have GameCube, which would have been very interesting.
That's good, that is.
However, that leaves the one, the only, the Super Nintendo. That's what we're fighting over today. And so to aid us with this, I have pulled together simply a list of games which are going to be on the Super Nintendo.
I was about to say, before you finish that, like, I pulled together a list of games. You just copied and pasted. Yeah, as you said, the Super NES Classic, one of which we have not played yet. Unless you...
Yeah, it's just a reference point. So alright, so first thing, let's kill Star Fox 2 from this list. Because none of us have played that game.
Yeah, I mean, I aside from a very buggy ROM back in college, but yeah, so...
So we can all add games to this list. But by the end of this podcast, there better only be one name left.
So we are all just essentially for the listeners out there, and also for those like myself who are unannounced, we're essentially just choosing each of our favorite game from the SNES. That's it. Or are we all deciding on one game that's the best?
Then ultimately, we're coming up with one game for the three of us, which we've agreed on.
Oh lord,
that's what makes it tricky. So, do we start with the strong or start with the weak?
The weak. Wait, the weak as in to get rid of, or the weak as in to discuss?
Well, a bit of both, really. If someone wants to bring up a game, assuming it's no one's favorite, and go, let's get rid of this.
Well,
are we all in agreement?
Okay, can we get rid of like the easy fodder? Like, I don't know about you guys, but I've never been a big Contra fan. So
I do like Contra, but I won't fight for it as the best game ever.
Yeah, I was going to say
it's a great game though.
No, I'll fight. No, I'm fine getting rid of it. I'll fight for it in a top 20 SNES games list, obviously, but here's not the case.
It's super correct that I was on this list, but no, it's not that, is it?
Mm-hmm.
It's gone.
Kirby's Dream Course. We're not. Yeah, get that out of here, please.
No. I'd love to fight you on that.
No.
Is it the best?
No.
The best. I don't think it's the best, though, is it?
Jeez.
No, we're not arguing that. Super Ghouls and Ghost. Yeah, we're going through the whole thing. Super Ghouls and Ghost. Super Punch Out. Get rid of.
Yep. Super Punch Out. Definitely get rid of that. That's nowhere near as good as the original.
Mario Kart. Obviously, get rid of. Super Mario Kart to those. I don't like. Yeah, I mean, I like the game.
Harrison really doesn't like Super Mario Kart.
No,
yeah, it's close for me. There's almost a fight there.
F-Zero, get rid of.
F-Zero.
Ooh.
All right.
It's essentially going to break down to like the trifecta, isn't it, of Nintendo classics on SNES, which is Metroid.
Green Moblin in the chat early on. That's probably what will happen.
That's what's going to happen eventually.
But I also predict one that needs to be put on here that we have in a discussion, and that was egregiously left off in the SNES Classic. Put on Chrono Trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that was going to be my pick, honestly.
Ooh.
Well, the thing about it is that that's also the most recent SNES game I've played, so I don't know whether it's just biased in my mind because of how recently I played it. But
it's up there. Like I've definitely heard that as like people's favorite RPG. So in that sense, it would make sense to be talked about on the best games of the Super Nintendo.
Definitely
the best game. 3
that we can kill: Star Fox, Street Fighter 2, Super Castlevania. Anybody want to fight over those?
Nope.
No.
Was it Star Fox, Street Fighter 2, and Castlevania?
I mean, they're all great games, but they're not going to. They're not going to get to one.
A suggestion.
I want to leave Street Fighter 2 on there. It's not going to win clearly, but I feel there's an argument for Street Fighter 2. In a weird way.
Is that?
It's got such a legacy. It was the first game of its kind.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but there's no chance of a fighting game going to be unless somebody makes a compelling argument to put it on there, and Godspeed for that.
Street Fighter 2 is never going to beat like Super Metroid
or even Chrono Trigger. I'm sorry, but
I want to see if it can like survive a top 5 sort of thing or something. Okay. That's
fine. That's fine.
Entertain me here.
But I do have a suggestion on here. Donkey Kong Country. Get rid of the first one, but put a 2 at the end of that one. 2 is the superior one.
2 is the superior game. Yes.
All right, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Super Punch Out, I feel like needs to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I know this is a great Kirby game, but I don't feel like Kirby Superstar is going to be in the discussion for this one. I feel like
they'll play Kirby.
It's already gone.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
what is everybody's thoughts on Super Mario RPG as far as being in the discussion? As far as is it willing to be fought over?
See, it's a solid game. It's really good, but I don't think it's best console game ever material.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
I don't have the spirit in me for fighting for Mario RPG. Again, a great game, but
I don't have the spirit either. I love it, but
I could see another person having the good fight for that game, but I don't think it's us.
I just think I think there's only 3 RPGs in this. Wait, 1, 2, 3. We have 5 RPGs on here, including Super Mario RPG. I feel like 4 is enough to fight over in this one, and whoa, the format on your format on the dock actually did in there. I know you may all want to kill this, but I'm willing to keep Mega Man X on there just because I really do feel like it's a solid entry on there that is so like you can just replay that so many damn times. And
see, I agree with that, but I feel like X2 is such a superior game to me. I like X2 way more.
I don't know. I think it was just one. It laid the foundation for everything on there, and to me,
true, very true.
But it's not like in a Donkey Kong Country situation where 2 just blows 1 completely out of the water in terms of like platforming and dangers and such. But this one, I go back to whatever. It's the discussion of like what's better, Mega Man 2 or Mega Man 3. You're gonna get people who that swear by Mega Man 2, what it's done to the series. And more will say, like, hey, 3, add a little bit more. This is kind of the same situation here, but with a different setting and different mechanics. I was going to add 1 on here, but we don't have to. Are we okay with adding a beat 'em up like Turtles in Time on here to discuss? Or do we? That's not going to be in the discussion. I mean, it will clearly win the battle of best beat 'em up if we're talking about SNES games.
Will it beat Street Fighter 2 then?
Well, it won't be. Yeah, duh. Well, but okay. Do we think this is a good, solid list to just fight over and say what is like from our list? Because I think right now I can pinpoint what my top 3 are on this one for me, and then we all can decide what our favorite is. So, I don't know. Do we want to go off and say like what's our favorite first, and then discuss, and then maybe, or
let's not go straight to favorites. I think if we all do our top 5, and then we'll see if anything falls outside of it, and we can kill them.
All right.
Do you want to go first, Harrison? Because you had a top 3 at least.
Well, I can. I have a piece of
Colin
paper.
can scramble.
How about you guys? Well, how about you guys discuss a little bit? I'm going to write down my top 5 real quick.
All right.
Okay.
I'll do mine on the. Oh, you good, Colin?
I've got my top 5.
Okay, you go your top 5.
So for me, I mean, I'm not the biggest Mario fan in the world, so number 5 would be Super Mario World. Followed behind. Okay, well, Super Mario World, Mega Man X, Zelda, Super Metroid, Chrono Trigger.
Okay, all good choices. Well, they will be good choices at this point. What a minute. If you put C's next to the remaining ones.
Yeah, sure.
What did you put C there for? Oh, Collins. Okay, gotcha.
C stands for Colin. All right, for myself, so I got 5 to pick from. Has to be. Does it have to? Are we just saying the games that we've been told to say?
I got my top 5 right now.
All right, I'll let you do your top 5 while I figure mine out.
Okay. The number 5 spot became a battle between Mario games, and it was I was deciding between like whether like these are going back between like 5 and 6, and these were between Yoshi's Island and Super Mario World. Shockingly, one of the Holy Trinity of games did not make my top 5. Yoshi's Island is my number 5 spot because reasons for me, I love the art style to it, whatever, and I just love the new mechanics to what it's done as far as platforming, and it's a colorful world to me. And I'm glad that we're finally getting the preferred version, like the base version, the pure version of this on the SNES Mini, finally. Number 4, Mega Man X. Number 3, Chrono Trigger. That was a hard one for me because I couldn't decide whether or not I wanted to put Final Fantasy 3 or Earthbound on that list, but it ultimately won out for this one. Number 2, A Link to the Past, and number 1, Super Metroid. So that's my top 5 there. A rough list, basically.
Mine may contain surprises.
Oh,
It may not.
jeez.
I'm not playing a character. This is how I think. Let's start with Super Metroid. It's in the no particular order.
Wait, oh, no particular order? Okay.
No particular order. You say you're getting 5 from me. 5 potentials for best game. So you got Super Metroid, Street Fighter 2. I'm sticking in my 5. Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, of course. Final Fantasy 3/6, which leaves the one remaining, which is going to be Chrono Trigger.
Oh, so
let me mark. Oh, there we go.
So wait, you go ahead and you go ahead and mark them wherever.
Yeah, certainly. But there was one noticeable one missing. What are you saying? I wasn't the only one who didn't pick that. I was thinking about Mario World. That wasn't actually in my 5. Doesn't mean I don't think. Ironically, don't think it's within my top 5 Super Nintendo games. I just don't think it should be the prime example of a Super Nintendo game. Oddly. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. So I think the only thing which there's 3 games.
Yep.
Games which we all 3 voted for. There's a game I mistook because it has a letter at the end of it, so it looked like there were 3 choices, 3 votes. Between Super Metroid and Chrono Trigger, they're the ones who got 3 votes. It doesn't mean it has to be between those 2 games, but I think it's safe that we kill any which had no votes. Do we have any exceptions? Any objections? Even we got Donkey Kong Country 2, Earthbound, Secret of Mana. And that's it.
1, 2, 3,
Yeah,
4,
yeah,
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, and obviously this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Those were 11 games that we chose basically on there. So, and even a worthy top 10 list there. What we got. So.
Yeah.
However, we're not done yet. Not by a long shot. There we go.
How can it be so difficult just to name one game as the best SNES game?
Because it's such a great console.
I know.
So yeah, you'd think the obvious decision, like, simple binary values here, or simple mathematical values, the win is clearly going to be either Chrono Trigger or Super Metroid. Doesn't have to be the case. We don't have to
or Link to a Past.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry. Sorry. I thought there was 2. Yeah, there were 3. We all voted for. So that would be the easy money. It's one of those 3. So let's. Anyone want to champion a game which isn't one of those 3?
That isn't one of those 3. Ooh. Well, I can definitely kind of. I really do feel like it's going to come down as far as the list is like, or whatever battling the top 3. It's going to go between Chrono Trigger, Link to a Past, and Super Metroid. I really do feel like that's going to get to it. The only other game I could feel like that could make a bit of a case to kind of getting into battling for top 3, maybe, is Mega Man X. That's the only other one that has second most votes, which would 2 between Colin and myself. Everything else has 1, being Final Fantasy 3, Super Mario World, and Yoshi's Island, and Street Fighter 2. So, do we just want to go with saying these 3 games battle it out, or we just kind of been? I don't know. I have nothing else to battle for. As long as we get this list down to 3 or something like that, I think I know what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
All right. Well, what I'll do, purely for the ones that have a single vote from me, which is surprisingly 3 of them. I want to give them their dues.
Okay.
Now, I'm not necessarily expecting to win anyone over, but if I do, it's a win-win. So, Final Fantasy 6, as I'm calling it, it's its name really. I mean, anyway, reason why I think 6 is so good is it really, I think, if I did have to, and this is kind of what this question is, choose one game from the Super Nintendo to show it off in terms of its graphical capabilities, in terms of its audio capabilities, in terms of its scope, in terms of what like the game designers could do in terms of telling stories and characters and set pieces in that sense, in terms of a gigantic scale. And again, on the graphics front, they were using things like the Mode 7 to do like the 3D effects as well. And there's a lot going on in this game. And not just that, not only does it hit those notes, in terms of just quality of game, it is up there. It's a fantastic game through and through, just in terms of, even if it didn't have those bells and whistles. And so I feel it is a game you can just kind of show off and go, this is what the Super Nintendo can do. I think compared to other games of the similar, you know, within that genre, or just games of a similar like graphical style or something, I think it just kind of oozes more in that production value. And not just that, but it genuinely just a fantastic game through and through. And so that's my pitch of Final Fantasy VI and why it could be the best Super Nintendo game.
To me, no, and I this is always going to end up on best of like any game, like in the top 5 of Super Nintendo games, or even best RPGs of all time. And to this day, it does remain my favorite, one of probably my favorite Final Fantasy games. More so, it's one that I swear by more than Final Fantasy VII. And to me, it's a matter of like what a 16-bit can do, both visually and emotionally, on that type of power. And that game that day hit it out of the park. The reason why I kind of would say though, like something like Chrono Trigger, I adore more is I love the time travel mechanic, and also it has multiple endings, and it also has a story that's just as compelling. It's taking off what the game essentially is, like a dream team of people from that era, whether it's like a Japanese era, like of Akira Toriyama, people from Enix, and of course you have everyone from Square just coming together to just bring what was probably one of the more original RPGs of that era, and still is to this day, you know, just adored by fans. But with the case of Final Fantasy VI, or 3/6, I don't know. It's like again, those reasons why I chose Chrono Trigger over that is because I just felt it took more of what 3 laid and was able to do its own thing to just flying colors.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like Chrono Trigger compared to Final Fantasy VI Chrono Trigger is just a more in-depth and thoughtful like story to it. And overall, the game itself is way more in-depth and thoughtful with the time travel and things like that. Yeah, I agree that Chrono Trigger beats out Final Fantasy VI.
Okay, well, these votes cast. I believe it's only fair to remove Final Fantasy VI from this list. I was not able to convince anyone there.
Sorry, Lewis.
Okay.
Sorry.
No. One of
you
now want to champion one of your games, which isn't, you know, in the strongest contending?
I'll do Yoshi's. Oh, okay. I will. You know what? I will champion. I'll give a thoughts out to Yoshi's Island, even though it's not going to win up to whatever. But briefly for it is, it's a type of Mario game where I felt like Nintendo was actually able to get beyond the usual conventions of what we saw earlier on with like Mario 2D Mario platformers. Obviously, we've only had up to that point, 3 in the main series, and to see this roles flipped in the ways of with you controlling Yoshi, and you have this new type of like egg throwing ability that just opens up different possibilities of what you can do in terms of a boss battle, or what you can do in terms of solving little platforming puzzles and how to move it like from level to level. That to me is what wowed me a lot, whatever, because I was able to feel like I could do a little bit more of this platformer for what I was limited to. And that it was just so colorful. I just love that crayon-esque style of an art design that I just is both cutesy but also just great to look at the same time. And I don't know. I just it gave me a lot more for something, and I adored Super Mario World. But to me, this to me that remains probably my favorite Mario S platformer of that era.
I do a slight counter argument though towards Yoshi's Island.
Uh-oh.
The baby. The baby.
That's it?
That's all I need to say is the
baby is Mario.
That baby Mario.
Yeah, I know. But
well, Colin, you know what you should do? You should probably improve your platforming skills and make sure to keep him on Yoshi's back. That's what you should do. Get good.
Okay. It's finally come to this. But yeah, I mean, in also defense of Yoshi's Island, I mean, also fantastic looking game. So kind of a later era Super Nintendo game. So if you compare like visually between like Super Mario World and Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, what they were doing with the graphical style and the scaling effects, the huge enemies, just the real smooth animations and things, looks worlds apart. And there's also, in terms of like 2D sprite games, there aren't that many games which look like it. I feel we kind of, in a more modern way, we've kind of started dabbling with different art styles and such for platformers, but kind of back then, they all were kind of a fairly standard template, but Yoshi's Island was, that stood out. Definitely.
Oh,
and it's also graphically a game which has aged incredibly.
Oh, easily out to whatever. I mean, knowing that we've had to deal with the Game Boy Advance version for so long via Virtual Console because of the Super FX, effects that we've gotten for that. But I don't know. I think the one thing at the one level that made me realize, wow, this is what the Super Nintendo can actually do. I got that wow moment from like Donkey Kong Country, and even before that, games like Star Fox. But you always gotta look back at like Touch Fuzzy, Get Dizzy. That level, which is, I am sure somebody came up to a point where like, hey, what would happen if we made a level that Yoshi was on LSD?
Yep, pretty much.
There you go. So, and I think it was at that point where I realized this is saying some different mixed messages to me, isn't it? But still, it was a great level, and I loved it. To me, whatever. That is one of those little bits that was that game that gave me so much charm. But in the end, though, that is just my plea for it. I don't think it will. Well, let me hear what Colin's thoughts on keeping Super Mario World in this discussion.
Well, you're going to be shocked that my defense of the game isn't going to be great because I'm not a Mario fan. I don't really like platforming games as much, but this was the only 2D.
Does this mean you're not picking up a Switch for Mario Odyssey?
Oh no, I like the 3D games.
Oh,
the 3D Mario games I enjoy. It's strictly the 2D ones I find a bit.
Okay.
Not
why is Mario World on your list?
No, honestly, I just wanted to pick something, and so I picked Mario World. Although I will say this, it's the only 2D Super Mario game I have enjoyed, which is like the biggest thing I can say about it.
Okay, well, even though we're not technically batting for it, I feel we need to also put up a bit of defense there. I feel like it sounds like the crew here at Nintendo Boys don't think much of Super Mario World. Awesome game.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
I just wanted to put in context the discussion because it sounds like me and Harrison have no interest in. Colin thinks it's alright because it's the only 2D Mario game he even likes. That's why it's discussed. So I guess Super Mario World is the most recent sprite 2D Mario game in that traditional sense, which is quite bizarre to think about. Because obviously the new Super Mario Bros. Games, all that they're all 3D models, aren't they?
Yep, correct.
And all those ones going forwards. And so yeah, it's the last sprite game they made, and it does hold up really well. Like it still plays as you remember. It's really sharp. Like anyone who's making a platformer will kind of compare the movement to Mario World. It is such a staple in terms of how you expect the character to feel and respond. And learned lessons from it. And it obviously introduced things like Yoshi himself. It also involved the map was in Mario Bros. 3, but they really expanded it in terms of actually using it to find secrets.
They made it huge in Super Mario World, yeah.
Exactly, and like these context areas where you go press a button in one place and then you get access areas in another, and really connecting everything together like that. And it's a game which is so easy to go back to, and that's why it's great. But it sounds like it's not going to be our top game though, unless oddly my argument has convinced Harrison that it should be. No, all right. I think sadly this is a surprise, but I think this is a game which would be on most people's lists. And if we were ranking them, it potentially would be in our top 3 or something. It's hard to say, but none of us feel strong enough to make it our top 1.
No. Yeah, and
I guess the same for Yoshi Island.
As much as the case I made for Yoshi's Island, yeah, it's not going to be my number 1. It's if I were able to kind of do some bit of mental gymnastics in my head and figure out what it's done, I think I could do it, but it's not my personal favorite. Now Street Fighter 2 is the other elephant in the room right now, so it's your turn, Lewis, to discuss why you believe.
And I do this isn't like a joke answer or anything. I do generally think this has a chance up on that top pedestal of all these other games. And I think to look at that first, you have to kind of think why people might think that's strange. And it's like an arcadey game. It's like a small game. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think like the downsides here of Street Fighter 2. I kind of draw a blank then, and that's probably just me. But I think what's good about Street Fighter 2 is that it's got this, and this is important here, it's like original to the game. It has this like wide range of very detailed, very animated fighters, which feel fun to play as. Whether it's against the computer or against a friend, which on another level, having 2-player local Street Fighter, whether it's today, whether it's the original release or a re-release, it's the same game under the hood. There's between the different the themed arenas, the voice, just going back to the real basics in terms of how each character has this fluid animation to them, yet there are human proportions, they are highly detailed, these are giant sprites on the screen. This is something which we hadn't really seen at all before. It's a world of difference compared to like a traditional beat 'em up where you have a couple of moves, a couple of punches.
I think the strongest argument you can make for any version of Street Fighter 2 is it has one of the best soundtracks on SNES.
I mean, that's just part of it, though. Yeah. It's got a fantastic soundtrack, like the core gameplay of Street Fighter 2 holds strong today. Like that re-release is the same code underneath, basically. Like you could swap back to those original graphics at any point, and you can still play like a decent competitive game of Street Fighter 2, which is amazing. But it's still I think it's really fun to play as, but not just that. I think it's a game more than almost any which has spawned a genre. Without Street Fighter 2, there's no Tekken. Without Street Fighter 2, there's no Smash Bros. Potentially. Without Street Fighter 2, what are all these fighting games?
There's no Virtua Fighter, maybe.
Exactly. But I mean, I feel without that game, that landscape changes. Like, sure, fighting games would exist, but they would be very different. And oddly, although Smash Bros. Is very different, it's only different because it wanted to be different. It looked at traditional fighting games and went, "Oh, how can we do something? How can we do a different turn on that?" So yeah, I think that honestly, Street Fighter 2 has a huge legacy to it. It's still fun to play today, and it's spawned off its whole genre by itself. And I think, as great as these other games are, I'm not sure you can hold the same testaments to them.
Are you trying to suggest that either Chrono Trigger or Super Metroid are lesser than this? Is that what you're getting at?
Basically, yes. I think Street Fighter 2 has a stronger legacy than those particular games. Like Chrono Trigger, sure, that's a strong, hard argument to beat. And I know what you're saying, what Link to the Past isn't, but just because it has such a range of games. Like a Link to the Past is great, but it's not necessarily uniquely great amongst all Zelda games. It's just a great Zelda game.
Well, it's uniquely great. That game in particular is uniquely great, is because after what they did with the experimentation with Zelda 2, they went back to what made that first good. I mean, what they started, and they built more upon it and gave you then some more. But also it added more to the mythos of Zelda, where this world and this whole mythology and lore was way bigger than just, hey, a elvish boy has to go save the princess. There is a little bit more. I mean, some may argue that Ocarina of Time did that a little bit further, but I feel like Link to the Past did that. That we essentially got to start with it. Now, your argument for Street Fighter 2, though. This is, yeah. I love the game. I love the game. It is something that I will go back to any point when I feel like that it's going to. Even though I'm not a master at that, I get killed at it. Its place in history, especially fighting games, is undoubtedly goes without hesitation in terms of like what it should be. But to say I think as the best SNES game, it's hard for me to follow. And is it one of the more influential SNES games? Yes, it is. I can also say Chrono Trigger is one of the more influential SNES games too. Super Metroid is, and even A Link to the Past. Heck, we may even be coming down to this 4-player battle right now between those 4 games. And I know that's my
even then I would argue A Link to the Past, I don't think was necessarily more influential than the original Zelda. The same.
I'd agree with you with that. Yes.
And the same with Metroid. I mean, Super Metroid was a much better game, but the basic tenets were in Metroid.
Yeah, but it also helped spawn a subgenre that is still popular to this day.
Yeah, because it introduced the map system and all that. Yeah,
and map system and bits of backtrack like that. And here's the thing for me: a game like that, especially Super Metroid, and I guess this is a good time just to kind of we're down to 5 games right now, and I think it's just good for us to just lob our arguments of what is really the best one right now. And
we're in it now.
Yeah, we're in it right now. So, how about this? We all say what our top game is right now. Like what our top game is. Ours.
Right.
I feel like out of this one, say what?
I said I wasn't prepared for that.
You weren't prepared for that? I don't know. I'm just going for time right now. That's it. I didn't want to go for too much. And you said your favorite games were even eliminated, right, Lewis?
Oh, what, when Dream Course went out?
No, that was your... I know you're joking, but still. Get out of here.
I know you're joking, but still. Nah, it's not my favorite.
No, okay. Do we all want to say what our favorite is, and then we just go to battle with it?
Okay. All right.
Okay.
If this is all the same, I'll be amazed.
It's gonna be the same. It's gonna be the same. Anyway, let's go.
All right.
We're all saying Street Fighter 2, clearly.
Okay.
Out of the way.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna say. See, it's between 2. They're both outstanding games. But I think in terms of the greater achievement and just overall design, I'm going to go with Super Metroid.
Well, that goes at theory. Okay. Thought we were all picking the same game.
Okay.
I chose Super Metroid.
Okay.
Not something I've actually discussed yet on here. But yeah, in terms of reasoning why, because I did put up some strong cases for certain games. Super Metroid, because it's just such a refined experience, one which you can go back to again and again and again and again. And in terms of on the influence side, people say Metroidvania, but they basically just mean Metroid.
They basically, yeah, pretty much.
And when they say that, they mean Super Metroid. Super Metroid is that genre. Harrison, what's your game?
Well, when I said my list at the beginning, I did have Super Metroid at the top, but also I had Link to a Past.
Mm.
I'm going back and forth right now in terms of what I really like to it. So, what you have with Super Metroid, like Lewis pointed out, it helped create a bit of a new subgenre and what many 2D like side-scrolling exploration games, abide by in terms like that. Mm-hmm. But also, many will. I mean, again, not to say the cast shade against like Symphony of the Night, which also had enough its own help as well. But Super Metroid made like the groundwork for all of this, and especially for a game when you look at it deeply, it almost feels like it's put together by duct tape. And I'm not saying that is a bad thing, whatever. This is a game that was rushed out to. I don't want to say rushed out. That's the reason why you have some certain game-breaking areas where you can kind of get through. I mean, but to see where everything goes, as in everything works in that area to me. It's like every room serves a purpose. And that's what I got. That's what I got with Metroid Prime. Everything that you looked at, every room told a story, and every room oozed with atmosphere and had a different thing, like a different thing to kind of, whether it's items or a way to get out.
It's the pinnacle of design. It really is, because it's like you go to a room that gives you a power up, and the room's been cleverly designed. So in order to get out of that room, you have to use the power up you just acquired, and it's like but it's so.
Or sometimes you'll find it's the giver of the power up, which is the actual secret. Or
exactly, yeah.
They start twisting their own conventions, which they were teaching you at the beginnings.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely masterclass to game design, Super Metroid.
Mm-hmm. Now, but on the subject of A Link to a Past, and as I had mentioned before, it took what the original Legend of Zelda had of go anywhere, but kind of compounded a little bit more, like the area, but gave it a little bit more epicness to it. And whether it's music, visuals for a 16-bit system, a little bit to story, even if you may argue it's not very. I'm not saying it's not as deep as like what you'd say like in grand and scope of what you see with like a Final Fantasy 3. But that was also another game that everything was in its place, and one that you did have a sense of purpose and just like again, I hate using that word epic so much. That's what I got from it, and I still to this day. I look back, and whether it's amount of bosses or design, difficulty, puzzles, I always feel like even 3D Zelda should go back to that. Not in that same sense of like, linear. Like I mean, it's linearity of each of the dungeons, but in terms of like, hey, can we make something that is just as good as that? Ocarina of Time obviously did that, whatever, when in terms of 3D, and some could say that Breath of the Wild was able to combine every bits of conventions of Zelda, but also mixing everything out to it. And it's one of those that even got that a reimagining of a sequel on the 3DS that even I could argue is close to even it's up there in terms of like being almost equal to that. And I look between these two games, most of which I played endless hours of. Obviously, I finished Super Metroid way more because I'm in the speedrunning community. Like, I just love to speedrun that game. And whereas with this, though, I go back and forth whether or not to decide. But the thing that really did the tipping point for me, though, on this one, it was, and I'll say, where this is going. It was going to be A Link to a Past first, but the tipping point that I really am choosing Super Metroid as this, which is now going to be our favorite Super Nintendo game on there. Shocker, I know, we are very boring. But the tipping point for me was the tipping point for me is what it made me fall in love with a series that I just I fall in love with a series that I just thought nothing of for a little bit. Like, I enjoyed the original Metroid, even though it took me like graph paper to finish, and I'd gotten Metroid 2, but this one was that first game where I just fell in love with the character I wanted to learn more about, even though it didn't tell anything. That's the thing with the game. I told you about Zelda tells a lot of great bits of like as far as like expanding the lore. This is a game that's so atmospheric that it tells its story aside from an opening segment, which I feel like is one of the best opening segments in any 16-bit game. And even after that, it's show, not tell. That's really all it is. You know, I mean, if you pay attention to little bits of details of like where the story is, and when you get to like Turian, for instance, and you see that once Infant Metroid is like locking onto you, and you're thinking you don't realize that until like a sound cue comes up, and you realize that's the same Metroid that you were trying to save. And then of course that climactic battle with Mother Brain, that escape sequence, music, levels to me. Link to the Past has that. It's just the only thing that lacked, and again, Metroid and Zelda are my two favorite series out there. But the thing that Super Metroid did for me is that it made me fall in love with the series, but also it made me fall in love with the character and design, and made me want to learn more how that game was made out. It's almost the same way when I watch like Jurassic Park, for instance, and I fell in love with Spielberg and movies like that. At that point, I want to know how games are made and how everything gets together. This is one that actually helped me start that at a young age. And to me, yes, Super Metroid. There we go. No surprise. That's my
well
feel.
solved.
Yeah, that is a problem. So, like, we just happen to pick up each favorite is the same. So there's no fighting at the end, which is nice.
Oh, I did think about it.
especially-
I did think about saying Link to a Past. I really did, and I just said, "No, there's this."
Yeah.
It just beats it out by a hair.
Yeah, Lewis was so close to saying Kirby's Dream Course, it's ridiculous. But yeah,
I was close to stopping him from deleting it in like the first wave, but that was about it.
I don't know. I know every list is subjective, and we know that people's favorite, like there's people whose favorite SNES game is, like I said, either Contra 3 or even Super Castlevania. It doesn't matter. I think I was just doing as far as favorite on there, one that we just kind of came back to a lot. So, and I know there's some people who would say that Super Metroid's a little bit overrated, and I can kind of understand that in some sense. But as far as like one of the best Super Nintendo games, it's hard not to beat it. I mean, I know there would be people who say Chrono. I did think about putting Chrono Trigger on there, but
yep,
it was just not the one that I fell in love with as far as on there. This was one that I do, and there's a reason why I have Super Metroid on my 3DS at this point, and it's I'd take it anywhere.
Yeah, so now Super Metroid is officially Nintendo Voice's favorite Super Nintendo game.
Mm-hmm.
It has been decided, and so thank you very much.
Thank you, listeners.
Thank you for voting. It would have been a very different discussion depending on what you chose.
Mm.
If you end up choosing GameCube, then yeah, it would have been long. Obviously,
we would have
been all night. We would have been. I would have, if it was GameCube, I would have probably argued something about, I don't know, Beautiful Joe, for instance. Yeah.
Beautiful Joe. Oh,
I'm sure Prime wouldn't have been mentioned.
Well, Prime would have probably, I don't know. Like we said, I figured we were going to say maybe Link to a Past or maybe Mario World or even Chrono Trigger. I felt like Super Metroid was just going to be the two obvious choice, but obviously we did not give you a plot twist at all in this.
Sorry, listeners.
Yeah. I did try. So that's the super topic you guys chose last week, and so we now go on to what's up for grabs. So these two options, and there are two options, not made by me. These are ones sourced by the community, and so I shall read out the options and then let you know how you can join in and also suggest your own topics going forwards. So our first super topic suggestion is from Lewis Lloyd Judson, and we'll be doing this only if it gets the most votes. Is, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Nintendo Championships 2017. Any contestant attending without first growing a moustache is disqualified. Prosthetic moustaches may be allowed if approved by the Waluigi Committee Board.
Okay.
Go on.
The sections, the trivia round. Contestants must answer a round of trivia questions by only answering with different inflections of wah.
Oh, wow.
Then we've got the music round. Contestants may convey a Nintendo theme tune using only Waz. I don't know how you pronounce Waz. The impersonation round.
I think I don't know. It's like when you see with Wario's name, whatever, like, wow, you gotta win. I
know what a wah is, but I don't know how one pronounces how that's worded in a quote of a wah, but pluralized. Anyway, we got the impersonation round. Points are awarded for a successful Waluigi impersonation. Bonus points for then tweeting their impersonation to @Charles Martinet. And then finally, the endurance round. Take a deep breath as the world finds out which contestant can hold the longest wah. Okay, so that's option number one up for grabs.
Mm-hmm.
You may love the idea of that. You may hate the idea of that. The next idea is from Jonathan Cruz. Yes. Reggie comes to you and tells you his body is ready for you to make him a game from any Nintendo franchise ever. But he can only pick one game from you guys. Each of you must come up with a game you'd make, how it would play, and who would be developing it. Any developer team is available, that's first party or third party. Now debate which of you three actually has the best idea to give to Reggie. Example.
And he does give an example in this one.
Yep. The example is a CCG Animal Crossing game on mobile and Switch with cross-play, cross-saves made from Blizzard. Also, physical amiibo cards can be purchased in a blind pack for the Switch version that have a rare chance of getting a character from an outside franchise like Link or Mario.
That's awesome.
That sounds like a microtransaction nightmare.
That's why they're amiibo cards. So
yeah.
It's chaos. And so they're your two options. And so they're up for vote. Voting is just done through Patreon backers, and so this is where we ask you as nicely as we can. If you are enjoying the show, please do consider going to patreon.com/Nintendo Voice and consider giving us $1 a month. And that would give you the opportunity to vote and suggest your own super topics as well. And as a little reminder, we are also having the Super Nintendo Classic giveaway, which is open to all Patreon members. Basically, I've secured a pre-order for a Super Nintendo Mini. When it arrives, I will be giving it to a random Patreon backer, and an extra name in the hat goes to people who have have been on Patreon for more than 1 month. And that's how that works. And so that is the super topic around. And so
lots of interesting choices there, this one.
Yeah, definitely. Just the two to choose from, but I think they're both two very strong contenders. Either way, I think we'll be having a good time, whichever of these
they're going to have a good time either way, that's...
Exactly, yeah. It's a win-win whether you're a patron supporter or you're just listening and watching. You're always happy and welcome here. And so let's do our usual thing. Let's go around the virtual room. Harrison, how can people get hold of you, and what have you been up to? Anything you'd like to plug?
Well, you can reach me at Twitter at hmilfeld. That's spelled HMILFELD as in dog. And if you want to add me on Switch, again, I have my profile set up on there and pinned to the top of the page. As far as other errands I do, you can also find me at, aside from podcasting, you can find me writing reviews and occasionally some small little opinion pieces for purenintendo.com. So we have a lot of great people over on that site, many who I love working with. And again, another great community of people who just love Nintendo. So check them out too when you get the chance.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And yourself, Colin?
Yeah, you can find me through Twitter mainly, at HighlyEmbard, which I think it's spelled. What about too? Not much. I've been sneaking into Lewis's Nintendo Voice streams. That's what we're doing. Awesome. And seeing how he's getting on with the testing that's going on over there.
Yeah. Testing continues.
Yes.
Which transitions into me nicely. If you want to get hold of me, Twitter is your best place. Leuvsion, Leuvsion. And as Colin mentioned, and I mentioned at the very beginning of the show, I have been dabbling, and I have, I guess, officially done the first episode of Nintendo Voice Plays Breath of the Wild, where I'm doing a Ganon run. Please do check it out. Heads up, still working out some audio balancing. So the first episode isn't a great example of that. It does improve a few minutes into the show. Still not perfect. The next episode should be better. I'm going to be the worst type of person and blame my audience. I asked a couple of times. People said, "Oh, it's fine at this point." I checked it back afterwards. It was rubbish. Let me know if there's an issue with the audio. Anyway, is that how I should talk to the community?
Yeah, clearly. Yeah.
You're doing a bad job. Okay.
Be aggressive.
Be aggressive. Anyway, I hope you continue to watch. Please do check out. And there's going to be more coming soon. Enjoy.
Cool.
And this has been Nintendo Voice, and thank you once again for listening.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.